Welcome to another episode of Investing in Intellectual Property with Dave. Today, we have a very special guest with us. This gentleman has created a product that revolutionized the way both men and women curl or twist their textured hair. Please help me welcome Bruce Boyd. How's it going, Bruce?
Oh, it's going great, man. It's been looking forward to this. I really appreciate you for reaching out to me to bring me on and talk about NuDred. It's been, we invented this in 2004. I'm still excited about it. I think it's one of the coolest products. I don't know why I don't have mine in hand. It's in the car. I'm probably going to go get it through the course of this interview. But what's going on, man? How's it going?
And it's going pretty good. Just trying to stay warm these days. The Midwest here in Michigan. Woke up this morning and I was kind of just checking. Normally I kind of check through the media, and I know they were saying that the school was closed because of inclement weather. I'm like, that's weird. But then I kind of looked outside. I'm like, man, this a foot or 6 inches, 6 to 12 inches of snow on the ground at least. I'm like, hey, man, that's Michigan for you, or just kind of the Midwest where you kind of never, I guess, out of it until maybe May or whatever, when it really starts to get kind of warm going into the summertime. So just trying to stay warm here on this Friday in Michigan. But, I definitely appreciate you giving me some time here this afternoon. I know you're in Texas, so it's a lot warmer out that way.
You said, I got a T-shirt on, man. I just went outside in this T-shirt. No, strange.
Yeah, right, for sure.
That's Dallas weather, man. It's like any given day around this time, it could be anywhere from 25 degrees to 85.
Yep.
Yeah, this is that time of year where it's like, it has actually snowed in April. And, I'm a Florida guy. I grew up in Miami and moved to Houston and then to Dallas. And Dallas, man, it's like I said, Houston wasn't extreme like that.
Yeah.
But Dallas has been. Like I said, I've actually been in Dallas where it had been like 65 degrees. And then later on that night, it either rain or a wind came through, and then it was all of a sudden 35 and was snowing in the course of one day.
Yeah, that's a whole lot going on. And I think that's also kind of the weather that gets people sick when the weather's kind of changing that drastically, especially over the course of just a day. It is definitely that weather where you have to kind of watch it because you got to get sick on, I guess, going to NuDred. Like you said, I invented in 2004. It's 2024. So it's, coming up on 20 years or just about 20 years of the invention of the product. And I guess just for the audience who maybe is not familiar with NuDred, can you maybe kind of explain what the product is and actually what it does?
Okay. So I always tell people you got to comb your hair. You got to brush your hair. So we invented a tool that'll twist the hair. So it's a sponge with holes in it, and you basically go over your hair with it, and it begins to twist it in a matter of minutes, as opposed to, we solved the problem because before NuDred, people were taking their fingers and twisting it.
I guess I do remember that when people twist their hair like that.
I'd be sitting on the bus or sitting in the car, and I see someone walking down the street doing this to their hair. And then, with my partner, who's a stylist, she had clients that would come in and get the style done, and she would use a comb and take the hair and twist it with the comb to define it even more. And it would take 2 hours, man, for something like that. So it's a revolutionary product. I grew up in the 70s with the Afro pick. So I kind of like, okay, let's come up with something that a handheld device that could twist the hair.
Yep.
And that's kind of what we did. It was a modern day Afro pick.
So and I guess, like you say, kind of you grew up where the Afro pick was a big thing. And for me, I guess, I had braids when I was growing up younger, and it seems to still like picking the hair or brushing the hair was always the two main things, or I guess maybe combing the hair as well. At what point did you think, because it's one thing to say, okay, people are kind of twisting their hair, But it's another thing to say, okay, I'm going to invent something. And I think enough of these people are trying to, I guess, twist their hair or curl their hair that this thing can sell a lot of units. Was it one of those things where you knew right away that this thing will sell like crazy? Or was it one of those things where it was like, okay, I'm going to just provide a solution and kind of see how much it sells? Because that's, like you said, the pick, okay, or the brush. We know, it seems like at this point in time, people want to at least brush their hair or kind of straighten out their hair with a comb or a pick. But at that time, was it like a foregone conclusion that people also wanted to twist their hair by some device? Was it enough people wanted this thing to the point where it kind of made sense to invent something and get it out to the masses?
Well, great question. I just looked at it as, okay, we just put it out there to see. It was basically a mystery. We didn't know for sure. My partner being in hair, and I'm, like I said, I've always been in the fitness and wellness, field.
Okay.
And she's in hair, and she said she felt that it was a great invention that people would take to it, and just, it'll be a great thing for everybody. It'll actually help people decide to do that style now that it becomes more efficient and effective to do it with the tool.
Yep.
So, we just, rode that tide, and basically, so when we got prototypes, and we ended up, excuse me, my nose is running.
Oh, no worries.
So we ended up getting some prototypes done and created a focus group. And that focus group was like, whoa, definite. So that's when we came up with like, price point.
Yep.
Who our market would be, age, and, lo and behold, man, we put it out on the, so I knew we had a tiger by the tail because I was the first one to take it to a hair show, the Bonner Brothers, the biggest ethnic hair show in the world, really. So I took it there, and I actually demoed a guy's hair in front of the Sally's booth. So to give you like a little bird's eye view of how these shows are, because I had never been to one, I didn't know what to expect.
Okay.
You look at the conference center in Atlanta, on the floor, it's like hundreds of booths, people selling products, people doing hair demonstrations. They have a big hair competition too there for barbers, for stylists. So I'm walking down on the floor, and I see this guy, and I told him that I got a product that could twist his hair in 3 minutes. And he looked at me in disbelief, and I was like, what? And I showed it to him. So he allowed me to do his hair, and I just was standing next to a Sally's booth. So when I did his hair with the product, I want to say 40 people came around me.
For real?
Believe, like, what did you just do? I said, I just twisted his hair. They said, with that? I said, yeah. They said, no way. So I got him to comb his hair out, and I redid it again in 2-3 minutes. And they were like, everybody, oh, I wish I had a video of that time, because it was a wow. I created a wow.
Yep. And
being in that moment, I could recall it like it was yesterday, because people wanted to buy that product for me for like $50. They would say, hey, I'll give you 100. I'll give you 50.
Really?
Yeah. And I just happened to have 10 with me, which was like, I don't know what was I thinking about just taking 10. I just wanted to see what the reaction would be. So the show was 3 days. That first day, like I said, I had 10. And on the weekend, we couldn't ship anything out. So we had my oldest son and a friend drive it from Dallas to Atlanta. Brought like 300 sponges. And in 2 days, I sold all of them.
Really?
Yeah. That was such a ecstatic moment, because like I said, we put it out there. We didn't know what kind of reaction we got, but that was confirmation. So we came like on fire.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And it seemed like you guys were like visionaries from the beginning, where you like kind of created. Because again, I said earlier, like picking out your hair and brushing your hair was always a thing. And you said you see people playing with their hair, but it's like, okay, like curling your hair seems like it wasn't as popular of a thing, at least at that point in time. And it seems like giving a NuDred the sponge, you guys kind of created that market. I guess, would you tend to maybe agree with that, like, assessment of it, as far as kind of creating this market where now people want to try to twist their hair, given some type of handheld device?
Oh, by all means, we definitely created a market because, like I said, there were those who, so I had locks. When we first invented the product, I had locks.
Oh, you had dreadlocks? I
had dreadlocks. And I actually, so this is the thing, right? So I had to always have someone's head to do a demonstration. Yeah. So I got so passionate about demonstrating the product, I cut my locks off and I had start demoing on me. And tell you a funny fact is that it got so, I demoed my hair so much, 20, 30, 40 times a day, like picking it out.
Yeah, picking it out and then.
Picking it out. Man, my hair be sore. Just, really? Oh my goodness, yeah. Because although, see, the thing about it is, man, I'm gonna have to get a sponge before we finish. I could just walk out to the car and get it.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
It's you see a lot of people doing it, not doing it the right way. They're like a lot of pressure. Yeah. And you don't need pressure at all. You can just, like I tell people, just graze your hair with it. So even though you're doing that, it's still kind of pulling the hair. Then when I was picking it out, man, my hair was sore. And I was doing that on a day-to-day basis, man. I flew to Detroit. I flew to Chicago. I was going to barber shops. And another fact is that the barbers weren't receptive to it at first. I mean, 90% of barbers I was going to, showing them the product, they were like, nah, man, I'm good.
Really?
Really. Yeah. So
what was their reasoning for saying, I'm not trying to?
Well, I think it was something new. Someone, let's say, someone has set the trend. I mean, we invented the product, but let's say someone popular, like, for instance, Usher started wearing this hairstyle called the South of France. Okay. Where he will fade it, kind of like this, but faded and twisted.
Yep.
And this barber, Curtis Smith, introduced him to the sponge. So he started wearing the South of France look and kind of helped the sales and the popularity of NuDred escalate. So
Usher was actually using the sponge on his hairstyle?
Yes, it was called the South of France. So his barber introduced him to it. Now, his barber actually called me. So, like I said, when I got the product, the first audience were barbers.
Yeah. So you weren't making it for just the end user. You were making it for the barbers.
Yeah, I mean, because I felt the barbers would get to the end. That was the quickest way to the end user.
I got you.
So the barbers were like, nah, man, I'm good. So with us going to hair shows in 2008, Black women started going to natural. A lot of it was called a big chop.
Yeah.
We were cutting off the weave, cutting off the perm, and started wearing their hair natural. So we were showing that they started using the sponge. So Usher's barber, Curtis Smith, called me up and said, hey, man, NuDred not giving the barbers any love. So I sat down and told him my experience. He was blown away. I said, dude, the barbers were the first ones I came to.
Right.
They didn't give me no love back. I said the natural market, they just took it and ran with it. So that's what I said, we willing to give the barbers love, no thing. So yeah, so that was kind of my experience, man. And I mean, now it's like no big deal. I mean, back then it's like you show someone, it was like such a wow.
Right.
It goes to show you how once things get into the market and I don't want to say take it for granted, but it's kind of like, it's just like a T-shirt now.
Yep.
or a comb. It's like, okay, eventually, how on the side of the road you see combs. Now on the side of the road you see sponges.
Oh, and that's interesting because it seems like you said, I remember that time where everybody, especially women, they're kind of going natural, and again, the good thing about this product is, it can be used by both men and women at this point. So it seems like you're not just, it's not a gender type of device or product. I guess, was it any pressure as it was out for a while to say, okay, I need to think of something else? Because I was looking, you got the NuDred wave brush and some other products. Did that kind of come about as new products because, okay, it's like, okay, we need to kind of give them something else? How did, I guess, those additional products come about after the sponge, the hair sponge?
Yeah, they came about more so after we got really creative after we started getting knockoffs. So we were like, the first reaction was, anger, press, like, man, here it is. We got this beautiful thing going on, and all of a sudden, and it wasn't a question of if we're going to get knocked off, it was when, because we knew we were going to get knocked off. But when reality set in, it's like, whoa, when we see sales do like that, It's like, whoa. So, I had a conversation with God, and he was like, man, get creative. So we came up with one. We put a mirror on the back of it. We came up with one with a brush combination. We started, making them customs where people can have their logo put on it. So, yeah, we just got creative, man. And, that helped out tremendously. And then, like you said, the wave brush, we came out, this is another, I got so many funny stories.
I'm here for it.
These guys who were where they had waves, right? All they did was waves. They came and said, they would buy a sponge. I said, what, you gonna twist your hair? He said, nah. So they said, I like to rub this on my head. They would take the sponge and rub it on their head.
Really?
Really. So check it out. I decided to take the sponge and cut half of it off.
I saw that.
I glued a brush on it.
I saw that.
When they brush it and the sponge would come over after the brush would come and then the sponge. It's kind of like if you brush your hair, you'll brush your hair, then you do your hands. Brush your hands, do your hands.
It's almost like you brushing it and then kind of massaging it, if you will, a little bit.
Well, it's kind of like, so the new brush is a two-side application that has the wave on it.
Yep.
Like a sponge, like a wave, and then it has the brush.
Okay.
So the wave kind of, see how my hands kind of create a little wave, the inventions, because you do like this and you go ahead. So, but we had like the brush and the wave on the same side. It's a two-side application.
Yep.
So that kind of took off, and matter of fact, when I did the prototype, like I told you, I cut off the sponge and glued a brush on there. And I gave it to a couple of guys to try, and they swore by it. And it was like, I thought that was pretty amazing how, first of all, if you had asked me 5 years before that time, hey, hey, man, what do you think about the hair industry? I'd be like, oh, hair industry, oh, that's cool. What do you think? You think you'd be part of the hair industry? I said, hair? I'm not in the hair. I'm in the fitness and well-being. If you would have told me that, I would have been like, so the fact that I got on this path, it's amazing. It just goes to show you never know where life will take you, because I never in my fondest dreams would have thought that I would have invented a hair product with two hair products.
No, and that's a good thing that I kind of want to spend some time on, because a lot of times as a patent attorney, I see it all the time where people come in and, again, I tell this story often where a guy, he laid brick, he was a masonry, and he created a water slide, invented a water slide. We helped him get a patent on it. And he had to essentially quit his job because he was making $600,000-700,000 worth of these things a year, selling them on Amazon. So that's the cool thing about it. Now it can kind of be the way where you invent something within what it is that you're already doing, but it can also go the route where it seems like it was similar to you, where your first introduction into this whole IP, intellectual property, these different products and whatnot, is by an industry that you kind of just fell in, and you just fell in and happened to be successful at it as far as selling a lot of product. selling a lot of product. And next thing you know, you're like, man, I'm a health and wellness guy. And I found myself in the hair industry, which up until this point, up until that point, I knew nothing about for real. And I'm learning all this stuff on the fly and going to different trade shows and booths and kind of demonstrating my product and selling out. It seems like, man, it almost like it works a lot of times like that, where the industry that your product is in is kind of different from the industry that you have expertise in, which is, it goes to show you that, man, anybody can participate in this IP game, in this, kind of, building or designing a product. If you have an idea and you're willing to kind of take those steps to kind of bring it to life, just because it's not in your industry, that doesn't mean anything.
Oh, of course. I mean, I think everybody has aha moments. They could be in their sleep. They could be talking with someone. Yep. Ooh. And, I talk to a lot of people say, man, I got an invention. I said, well, so just think, they say 85% of patents never make it to the market. So just think, the person took the effort to get a patent, but then continue with the effort to take it introduce it to the world. So let's back up of a person who didn't even come up with a patent. Think about all those millions of people who have these ideas, don't even patent. So everything is energy and vibration, right? So thoughts are ideas and imagination is out there. So it's said that when you think about it, you put it out there for someone else to receive it. And then someone else can receive it and act on it. And that's a beautiful thing, because I think in the state of mankind right now, they don't use imagination as much. And I feel God, that's one of the best resource that God gave us, imagination. That's how things keep evolving, right? Yep. Science will say, hey, you do this, but then art and imagination come and say, ooh, I can make it better. Like, look how cars keep getting better.
Exactly. Yeah.
Everything because of imagination. Yep. If they just sit there and say, okay, that's good the way it is, it won't evolve as a product. So I think what happens is really, and I like to send this message to viewers, go tap into your imagination, believe it, be on purpose with it, and take action on it as well, because you never know how the most simplest thing, and that's what makes inventions great, when they're simple. You'd be like, oh man, I could have thought of that. How many times?
Yeah, keep it simple. Yep.
I would have thought of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I feel that there's an inventor in all of us, and it's just about, taking action and moving with it. And I'm still downloading stuff.
Yeah, and that's pretty interesting. I guess going back, even what you said about a lot of people have these ideas in their head. They always say that the graveyard is filled with the most ideas, because the people who they essentially die with their ideas in their head, never haven't brought that to fruition. And that's really a part of the reason for the podcast, is for people, especially within, I guess, the African American community, because again, as we talked about, you and I talked offline, just kind of making, just a number of mistakes, just not knowing, particularly with regard to IP at the beginning of the process. But now and again, you're still creating products, and now you know how to go about it because you've been through it already. And I'm not sure if it's a fear thing. That's why people don't come actually kind of turn their ideas into an actual product or whatnot. But I guess, again, part of the podcast is to try to get those people with these brilliant ideas in their head to say, okay, let's bring this thing to life. And you never know, this thing can really change your life, change the course of your, just kind of generations to come in terms of the amount of money or just what you can do with it. So that's definitely a big part of, again, a podcast for me that I also wanted to kind of point out.
Yeah, I think, my lineage, man, it's like inventors, man. My grandfather invented something, and I got a great, great, great uncle who has a display in the African Museum of Arts in D.C., man. Nice. he came up with this bed that clipped, the bed frame that clipped together. You know how you go to IKEA
Yep.
and you build? He
Yep.
came up with this back in the 1800s.
So it was already kind of within you to be this kind of inventor of,
He also came up with, his name is Henry Boyd. He came up with, you know how you go to the store and there's a counter right there?
Yep.
So he was working in this white man's store. He built, and you know, everybody just come up and stand in front of you there to just give you the money, make this change with the product. And he decided to put this counter on. And he built it and brought it in the white man's store, and the guy really liked it. And he patented that. And then he came up with this bed. So when he attempted to get the patent for the bed, they tried to, somebody tried not to give him the patent, but the guy with the store supported him.
Nice.
And he was able to get the patent.
Nice.
And then he ended up getting a warehouse and a company, and got several employees to kind of manufacture these beds. And he did really well back in the day.
No,
I see the link. It's a lot of information on that. So I'm like, well, damn. Okay, I'm supposed to be doing this.
Right. So then I guess let me ask you this, Bruce. So a lot of times I think another part you was talking about as far as people have patents, but they don't, I guess, kind of do anything with them because 85% of them don't kind of materialize into anything. It seems like kind of from me talking to a lot of different people, inventors or kind of business owners, a lot of times people want to try to license their product, and because that's like the easy thing to do, just being able to kind of get a patent on something, license it, let somebody else kind of deal with all the headache of manufacturing and selling it and this and that, and they just collect a royalty payment. Mm-hmm. Is that something that you ever thought about you and your partner on, hey, man, we can license this thing, especially since we've kind of proven the concept out of, okay, this thing has sold, because, again, this thing is Sally's and Targets. You guys have been able to do a lot of cool and big things with the hair sponge. Was that something that you ever thought about licensing it as opposed to selling it yourself, or not really?
Yeah, we was in litigation with a company that was knocking us off, and we decided to go with the licensing route with it.
Okay. Huh.
And however, that was a little issue because they paid us up front, but they haven't been paying lately. And so now we're actually auditing them and doing some things to take care of that, because they didn't keep up with their word. So we licensed it to another company, and that went well. They were selling it in Walmart. So we did 2 licenses, and we didn't do exclusive license. Some people want exclusive licensing where you can't license it to anyone else.
Yep.
We were fortunate where we can license it to other people. So we had 2 licenses. One was very successful. The other one wasn't so, but there's still an agreement. So we'll probably get some back payments from that.
Yeah, for sure. And out of curiosity, because this is good for the audience in terms of kind of providing some nuggets and some jewels, you're right. Typically, if somebody does a license, they want an exclusive license. They don't want you to be able to enter into multiple license agreements with multiple companies. They want to be the only person. Was it anything in particular or specific that allowed you guys to kind of do that and enter into license agreements for other people, or was it just, did something? Well,
those two people approached us about it. We hadn't approached anyone about it, and so. Yeah, it was just those 2 as far as licensing. So I'm looking at a possible license with the product, my 3rd patent.
Okay.
It's called the Infinite Performance Dome.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm looking at the possibility of that, because it's a lot of work in, marketing and
for sure,
because it's your baby.
Yep.
However, if you can, especially with me, I'm like, there's more and more. I said, I'm downloading ideas all the time about different products. So with that being said, if you do that, you can't spend all your time with that one product. That's kind of like, okay, invent it, license it, move on, invent another, license it, move on. And then all of a sudden you got these multiple streams of income coming from all these products that you've licensed. So that's I think it's a great idea. It's just it depends on the person.
Oh yeah,
we're great marketers, and I was a great marketer with NuDred because I really believed in NuDred to the point where wherever I was promoting NuDred. I mean, man, I was relentless. I could be at a restaurant sitting down and I look over, I see someone could use the product. I get out of my chair, go, hey man, excuse me, I don't want to disturb your dinner, but I just felt that you would really appreciate this product we invented called NuDred. It'll twist your hair in 5 minutes. Give them a flyer, boom, next thing you know, they order. I mean, I was doing that all the time. I mean, my partner was even like, you need to calm down with that. I said, no, I was relentless, bro. It was crazy.
But that's what you have to do as an entrepreneur to succeed, especially when you kind of selling it yourself as opposed to relying on somebody else to via a license to sell it.
And man, like I told you, I feel everything is energy to the point where when you put your stuff out there, and I mentioned the pineal gland and your third eye kind of connects you to the universe and helps you come down and manifest what you visualize that you want to manifest. I really feel that when you believe in something like that and you keep tell people, the universe shift energy and say, okay, we're going to make sure this person gets successful.
Right.
He is so relentless. It's going to happen. It's kind of like you're knocking the door down. Boom, boom, boom. I believe in this. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, and I definitely like that. I definitely agree with 100% that you just said. So I guess let me go to this. So as an IP attorney, as a patent attorney, the big thing for me is making sure that you or just the person protects their invention. So is this something that you knew about? Because, again, kind of growing up, I grew up in the environment here in the city of Michigan, people don't know a whole lot about patents. So is that something that you already had some knowledge or understanding of so that it was easy for you once you guys developed the product or designed the product that, okay, we got to go get a patent on it? Or was this something that you had to figure it out or for the first time to protect the invention via a patent?
Well, definitely knew we wanted to patent it. I didn't know anything about patents. It was actually, I was looking at patenting exercise, little small exercise device. I went through the process of that, and then, man, that's something that I knew. That's something I could still patent. Well, anyway, this patent attorney didn't really, the same one who did NuDred, he worked out with me. I did personal training, and he took my classes. So that's the first person. Now, that made it simpler for me to talk to him about it.
For sure.
So, the first one was this exercise, and he didn't really push it. That I know this could have been a great patent. So we kind of just put that on the shelf.
Okay. Then
here comes NuDred. So I tell him about that and I give him a prototype. And I basically say, hey man, just take this and patent it. And that's kind of how it happened. I didn't know anything about patents like I do now, claims and, the
most important part of the patent is those claims. They define what the scope of protection is for it. I know a lot of times people they look at a picture like, oh yeah, you got a patent on that. It's like a lot of times you got a patent on a specific feature of it. Is because patents are typically incremental improvements. It's not like let you come up because it seemed like this brush was maybe more so of a thing that was kind of new, even though it was still try to equate it to the sponge. Typically, patent is an incremental improvement over what's out there. You typically don't have something that's just a kind of a total game changer, revolutionary to the extent where it's like it's nothing else out there that's similar to it. So when you're looking at, like you said, a patent or looking at the figures, it's like, okay, he doesn't have a patent on every aspect of it. It's maybe one aspect or a few different aspects that make his different from what's out there already that he's protecting and kind of claiming ownership of. So I guess let me ask you this. So because everybody wants to patent something in the U.S. because that's where you're going to sell it or that's where you're going to make the most money in terms of selling a product. But it seems like this has a lot of application across the pond, specifically in Africa. So did you look to try to maybe protect it overseas or not really?
Well, that's another thing. So we didn't realize you had a window of like a year to do a international patent.
Yep, a PCT application.
So we missed that window. And it's pretty expensive. I mean, but
big.
I think, yeah, what happened with us was the only people that it wasn't, surprisingly, it wasn't Africa, it's Brazil.
Really?
Yes. If you go on Instagram,
I can see that,
and you hashtag NuDred, 100,000 tags are Brazilian. They actually took NuDred. Took NuDred hashtag. I started hashtagging NuDred. They started hashtagging NuDred as a lifestyle. And then they spelled it the way we spelled it. Then they spelled it another way. Then they came up with a sponge spelling it NuDred. And it was like we couldn't wrap our heads around. They was reaching out to us like, hey, thank you for NuDred, but they weren't ordering. They had their own. They were coming up with their own sponges.
Oh, really?
Like, yes. And then they were doing the hair really good. I mean, you could see some of the styles they were doing with the sponge. I mean, like big afros with sweet twists. So they had, I mean, yeah, Brazil.
I would have guessed that. So were you guys able to kind of capture that market as relates? I know you said they weren't really selling them. I mean, buying them. Were you guys able to?
I mean, there was no need to order them from us because they had them there. They were making them and selling them over there.
Oh, okay. So okay, I got you. And that's another thing that people got to understand. Mm-hmm. A patent, like if you get a U.S. patent, that only protects you in the U.S. It doesn't protect you in Brazil or in South Africa or in Germany. You have to get a patent in each country that you want to get protected in. So if, like Bruce is saying, if he got a patent in Brazil, then he would have had some recourse to whoever was trying to sell it and knock it off in Brazil. But absent a patent in that particular country, you can't really do anything. And that kind of brings a question. It's almost like a chicken and an egg argument because, like you said, it's expensive. But to the extent that it catches, like, okay, I can't do anything about it if I don't have a patent in that particular country.
Yeah, man, it's the international patent. I mean, and I was on board of doing it with my third patent, and I talked to a counsel, and I didn't have the funds.
Yeah.
So he said, "Hey, man, just get that product out there in the world and just outmarket people."
Yeah.
That's really the strategy. You can, people can have it. They knock you off in another country. Like we were getting a lot of orders from Europe, from France. We had a guy selling it in Paris, selling it in the UK. So we were getting a lot of international orders from there. And then we got it from Canada. So, we were still getting sales internationally. Although we didn't have the international patent. So that's my strategy with my third patent, is just to go bananas with marketing internationally and just go from there.
No, and again, I think you brought up a good point that is worth hitting on as far as branding and marketing, because again, a patent only lasts for 20 years anyway. So at the point that the patent expires, and I guess you're no longer protected, at least with that particular version of it or that particular product, you still have the branding to fall back on. So if NuDred, if you're branding NuDred such that people want to buy the hair sponge that's sold by NuDred as opposed to this knockoff or that's sold by somebody else, because I know we're familiar with NuDred's product, we're familiar with the quality, we know it's going to last long, it's going to do what it needs to do. And again, that's just a function of, I guess, marketing or making sure you're branding yourself accordingly. Now, I guess with the name NuDred, did you guys get a trademark on that as well, or how did that work out? Okay.
Yes, we got that trademark. Matter of fact, so the name came up when we first came up with it. We didn't have a name, and I was doing, being in fitness and whatnot. I didn't really know business. I knew how to personal train people, how to teach classes. I didn't know a lot about business, so I hired a business coach so I was going to do three things here. All of a sudden, I go from being the fitness, I'm going to go with NuDred and hair. Then I also was doing an energy drink called Levitate.
Okay.
So I'm sitting down and I'm like, how am I going to juggle all this? And it's just me, right? Well, of course, with the hair, with NuDred, my partner.
Right.
So the guy, he actually kind of like just asking me questions. He would bring stuff out of me. He never really like suggested stuff. He would just, so how do you feel about this? Be a writer, like it was mostly brainstorming. And I don't know how we brainstormed and came up with that name NuDred. And I was like, I like that. That's a nut. Yeah, that's like, because we were talking about how Heinz ketchup and how these brands take off with just the name. And sure enough, like I said, in Brazil, they use NuDred as a lifestyle. It's like, it's beyond a hair product. It's a lifestyle. And so did we. Matter of fact, we made it an acronym, which was nurturing, uplifting, divinely, rejuvenating, evolving daily. That's for NuDred.
And I was going to say, I did see that on a website where you guys kind of break down the acronym and what each letter in NuDred stands for. That's pretty cool. So so you guys did trademark that, which is cool. And what would you say was the biggest like breakthrough? I know you talked about at the beginning with the booth and how doing the one person's head, and next thing you know, you guys are selling a few hundred of these things. What would you say, I guess, was the biggest breakthrough, I guess, at the beginning that you guys were coming up with?
Well, that's a great question, because at one point, like we were, investors were approaching us.
Yep.
With they wasn't win-win deals, so we avoided them. But so we started, like, our direction with marketing was, we started a YouTube channel. I did this guy's hair, and that YouTube video just blew up. And then we ended up getting a call center to take on orders. So we got we had a commercial produced.
Yep.
And commercials were so damn expensive, but we did some on like TV One, I think we did.
Okay. Was that a local network in the Texas area?
Yeah, I mean, we did it international. I mean, I really can't remember, but we had spot ads on different channels. Man, I don't even think we got one order.
And I was going to say, I recall you saying the TV commercials the commercials that you guys did really didn't hit like that.
So this lady on YouTube ordered the product. It's called Family Going Natural. She ordered the product and said, hey, look, y'all demonstrated it on YouTube with a video. Say, hey, y'all, I just ordered NuDred. And look, and she did her kid's hair. And that's when we started getting orders galore. It's like, she never reached out and asked for us. She was like an early on affiliate, influencer, I should say. And she never reached out to, but I reached out to her. Man, I sent that lady some checks. She didn't even have to ask. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna give back, because I said you're the reason we started getting these orders. Yeah, she blasted us on YouTube, and that was the instrumental moment. And then I was like, at that point, I had only posted one video on YouTube. So, as a matter of fact, I don't know, I might have posted the video after that. I don't know, I might have posted some, but then I started really posting a lot. And that kind of like just kept things going.
Okay.
And at that time, it wasn't, I knew how to do websites, YouTube videos, and do the meta tags to get more views.
Yep.
There wasn't as much noise then there, but now it's a whole science, and all these algorithms, it's like crazy now, man. At one point I could post a video and get 2,000 views in a week. I post one now, I'll be at 50 in a month.
Yeah, that YouTube algorithm changed. I know I'm doing. It seems like you got to maybe at least. I don't know. It's interesting when I just kind of posting these videos, and I know I do these Shark Tank breakdowns, and I posted one and it got like 46,000 views. But then and those are typically like the higher kind of rated. Typically I get 1,000 or 800-900 views. That one kind of did 46,000. But like you said, that YouTube algorithm, I would imagine is different now than it maybe was 10, 15 years ago. Which is interesting. So I guess I maybe wanted to kind of, as we kind of wrapping up here, you had sent me something that talked, it was a panel that I think you were on at Boston University to help increase equity in an intellectual property practice. Can you maybe talk about that a little bit? Because again, that's at least part of what I'm trying to do with this YouTube channel. But can you kind of really talk about it since you're on that panel as far as the importance of the equity in IP practice?
I think, yeah, I mean, the big issue they found was the communication breakdown between ethnic inventors and basically most IP attorneys are white.
Yep.
And for instance, the language that they use for NuDred was tangentially bring the sponge over the hair to clump the hair together.
I did see that when I was looking at that.
That was the language that, matter of fact, on the panel, they were like, who clumps? And I thought nothing of it.
Yeah, no, look at that person just kind of reading that like, hold on, they don't get it. It could almost be taken as a derogatory thing if you ask the right person.
Right. So I just wanted to patent. I didn't care. I didn't know the language and all that.
It's a different language though, but I definitely get what you were saying. Like,
I think that whole program was very instrumental to the industry because, you know, I didn't realize it happened so often. They brought it to our attention, reached out to us, flew us into Boston University, was on the panel, and you know, one of the attorneys was really passionate about, you know, making a change in that category, and I thought it was really good. And I mentioned, you know, my experience with getting the NuDred patent, and I also mentioned my experience with getting the infinite performance dawn patent and the contracts, and how I sat down and combed through the claims in my last experience. And, you know, hindsight, if I knew that the first one, it would be a different patent for NuDred, for sure. And I want to say that for those who are patenting, who are listening to this and they're going to patent something, definitely sit down, slow it down, ask questions, you know, because, you know, a great patent attorney like the guy I had on this third one, I mean, he didn't seem like he was in a hurry. He wanted to just make this as knockoff proof as possible.
Yep.
And we did. We did mad. I mean, because the thing about it is, as you know, it's like, don't get too specific, don't get too broad, right? You kind of got to work the middle.
You've definitely got to work the middle. Like you said, you don't want to get too specific to the point where the patent don't have any teeth on it, but you don't want to get too broad to the point where the examiner is going to cite all this art against you to say, hey, man, all this stuff is already out there because you're trying to get too broad. So you definitely got to find a good middle ground. And that's the whole point of like having a patent attorney and kind of going back and forth with the examiner at the USPTO to try to find what's a good middle ground so that you still have some value on your patent that you can sell and not it can't be easily knocked off and whatever the case may be. So yeah, I definitely agree with everything you just said on that aspect. And yeah, hopefully, especially kind of people in the minority community and African American community kind of listen kind of to what you're saying and say, oh man, I have this idea, let me get it out there. Because I think I would imagine just all the stories that you share with me today, I not even just the story, but even I would imagine also financially, it kind of changed your life and kind of opened you up to a whole new world that not sure existed. And again, you're still going at it. You talked about, hey, I'm patenting this. You got all these, you've been through it before, you learned, and now you can kind of patent new products, confidence and being more of a seasoned inventor at this point in time, which is, and that's what you want to do. Because typically, if you patent something, it's almost like the bug. I've never like they always talk about this like cocaine high, and I guess I've never done cocaine before, but it seems like when you kind of get bit with the patent bug, you want to kind of come back and invent something else. You're like, okay, I got a way to do it better next time. And I would imagine this, I guess, a similar thing. I know it's a kind of interesting kind of comparison. But and when you get bit with that patent bug, you're gonna. This is not typically it's not going to be the only time that you patent something. You're gonna be back patenting something else, and it seems like that's a similar thing that you did. Can you talk about? I know you kind of hinted towards a little bit of different things. Any new products that either NuDred has coming out or that you have coming out on the health and wellness side? I'm not sure if it's available to talk about right now, or you're still early on in the process where you don't want to disclose any of that information of any new product.
No, I mean, everything is patent and pretty Trump tight.
Okay.
So with, we did NuDred, and I want to go back and say how, the relationship with the patent attorney is so cool, because the second patent attorney was a lady who patented the new brush.
So you did get a patent on a new brush as well then, or?
Yeah. Okay. That's why I was saying that this, the dome is my third patent. So the new brush, the lady was, oh my goodness, she sat down, and I really wasn't familiar with the claims then, but she kind of, sat down with me, a lot of patience, and we got that patent. And then the thing about it too, because she was really willing to work with me, what she charged me for the patent was like nothing almost. I mean, it was probably like $900 or $1,000. I mean,
yeah, that's
right. So I was looking at her like, and I had other patent ideas, and I was looking at her like to almost be a partner. And the lady passed, man. I mean,
really?
Like 2 years after that. Yeah.
She older, or she just?
She was a little older.
Okay, I got you.
So then I ended up coming up with the dome, and I was referred to the gentleman who patented the dome, and it kind of like, when you talk about the bug biting and you talk about cocaine, one of the things that, there's a neuromodulator, right, called dopamine. Dopamine is the, you got neuropeptides and all this stuff that triggers your body to, and your mind to, like, get excited and be more clear. And dopamine kind of is the front runner of that. Matter of fact, you get like a dopamine spike from cocaine. The highest dopamine spike you get is from cocaine.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The best way to do what I tell everybody is a cold shower. So you get a dopamine spike. So you can get dopamine spikes from everything, like sex, from drinking alcohol, from going out and shoot. You might be someone shooting bad. Every time you make a 3-point shot, you get a dopamine spike. Yeah. So I feel I get that way when I come up with a product and that I can invent. It's like, like an aha moment, like a dopamine spike. So I think you made a valid point about getting a bug is biting you. Like, you've done it before. I want to do it again, and I'm going to get better and better at doing it. And my thing was like, I made a pact with God that whatever I put out into the universe, into the world, is going to help mankind.
I like that.
That's how I look at it. I'm not going to put no junk into the universe, and a lot of people do, and they're successful with it, but that's here or there. My thing is like, I want something to help people. This last product I'm actually writing a grant in biomedical for, oh man, I gotta go to, okay. Oh, can we wrap it up in about 5?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, we on a down the decline. Yep, about 5.
It's a dome, a 10 foot by 10 foot height, 10 foot wide, and it can actually, you go inside, it can have a special needs person. It can hold them up, help them hold form. So when you hold form, when I say hold form, like stand up with good posture.
Yep.
Right, and get stronger in standing up with good posture. So this is going to be able to help the biomedical division, as well as I like training. So I'm extreme from liking work with special needs all the way to the full spectrum with working with professional athletes.
Okay.
So this product will also be able to help athletic performance.
Nice.
Well, I'm excited about it because it can help with the health and wellness of people. So that's and that's kind of how I look at it, man. And like, I feel that with those intentions, God and the universe is blessing me with, okay, come on, you got the right intentions. We're going to download some other ideas to you.
Yep. I like that.
That's how I like to, live my life. And I mean, I tell people, they say, well, what do you do? I said, well, I'm a wellness and performance coach. I'm an inventor. I'm an entrepreneur. And, I kind of like, don't attach to that. I just like to be a great human.
Yeah, for sure.
First and foremost. And, yeah, man, I really value this and appreciate this, because I know other people will hear this and it'll spike them and inspire them to get up and do something and keep going. Just don't give up. Just, be relentless, set your standards, be relentless with it, and decide to make it happen. Because, someone listening to this might come up with something, some cure, some product that could, take things to another level and bless the world.
No, yeah, for sure, absolutely, and that's definitely the whole point. I would love for in the next couple of years where somebody come back to me and say, "Hey, man, I watched one of your podcasts and I decided to invent something, and that changed my life, changed my family life." So that's just like you said, putting that positivity into the world, adding value, and hopefully, God continue to bless me with kind of different ideas and different things to do as a result of that. I guess the last thing as we wrap up, how can people get in touch with you with this website, or not only get in touch with you on social media, or just kind of get in touch with you in general and follow you, what you got going on, but also buy the product?
So, I wonder if you could scan this.
I can definitely see it. So yeah, I would be surprised if you can see. You probably couldn't scan that on the screen.
And so I'm Bruce Board, CEO and co-inventor, and that's I'm at Bruce@NuDred.com. www.NuDred.com. And so the product is on Amazon, is on our website. We used to have it as Sally's. Sally's decided to go another direction. So we're working on a lot of other things. NuDred, the brand, there it is, the original.
Nice.
New hair, new you, new life. We, our product is quality, and that's, like I said, we didn't want to put junk out there in the world. A lot of people came to us and say, "Hey, don't make it so good. Make it so people have to, buy a new one real soon." We didn't even go that route. We could have did that.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Because that's part of a lot of strategy for products.
To get to keep. Yep.
They say they don't like to build cars so they'll last anymore. So you have to get a new one every 4 years. Cell phones. So check it out. Everybody, it's such a game. But I like quality, man, because I think at the end of the day, if here it is, you're scaling your business, worrying about the numbers and the turnover and not the quality. I just can't do it. It's not in my DNA. I'm too of a quality-oriented person where, like I said, I made a pact with God if I'm going to put it out there, it's going to be quality, it's going to be great, it's going to help you. So that's kind of how I go for it.
And I like that. So definitely go to NuDred.com, check out Bruce, hey, buy the product. And again, Bruce, I appreciate you for coming on. I know you got to run, so just wrapping things up. Definitely appreciate you coming on. I think you dropped a lot of jewels. And I guess one of the things that I definitely take away is just in terms of the quality, don't get caught up in, just easy throwaway stuff just because that's what everybody else doing, but provide value to the world, provide quality. And as a result, God and the universe will continue to bless you with new ideas, new products, so that you can continue to sustain success. So that's man, that was some good information. So I appreciate you for coming on. Hopefully we can have you back in a year or so once. As you continue to invent and continue to kind of change your products. And I definitely appreciate it today. And again, audience, go follow them. I'm not sure if you're on social media at all, but definitely go.
Yeah, we're on social media too at NuDred.
Okay, NuDred, and follow what they're doing with NuDred and all the stuff that they're coming out with. And till next time, audience, we'll see you later. Take care.